Hello, it's me again. But this time, instead of something very generic, I will talk about something very specific, which is the other extreme. And we like extremes. We want to do something special. So this will be about multi-page floating tables. Perhaps you remember I had a similar talk last year, but that was when we were at the beginning of the project. I spent like 2-3 quarters of my last year on this. It was a long ride. And but in one sentence, the feature is what you see on the screen. We have a table which is split on multiple pages, and still, depending on settings, on the last page you have some text wrapping around the table, which is surprisingly difficult. And last year, the state was that to some extent we could render something like that, but yeah, you can't create it, you can't modify it, you can't delete it, you can't do anything with that. So what's new is that you can insert a normal table that was part of online for a while now, but now you can also turn the table to be inside the frame, which makes it a floating table. And then you can adjust the properties of this table in a frame to be a split table. And if you allow this frame to split across pages, then you get this multi-page floating table. Of course, this is mostly relevant for existing documents where people by accident use this feature. I guess, like if there is a metric for features, like is it likely that people use this by accident, then this might be a very good candidate as a winner. Like people don't really use this because they want it, they just happen to do that. And they create a quite complex layout representation. So what, like it looks like, it's split, it's done, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. First, in case we have some text which is flowing around some frame, then we need to find out how that frame is anchored. And we decided that for this purpose, it's always anchored to the first paragraph of that text, which is flowing around the table. Then also we need to decide what should be the size of these frames. So the decision is that this frame width is exactly the same of the table. So basically it's invisible that you have a frame. It's kind of an implementation detail. Also for the height, it's exactly matching the table, so it's automatic. Then you have actually multiple anchors here, because on the first page you have a floating table, and on the second page you have a floating table. We automatically take care of splitting this and merging this based on content, but still there are two objects to be anchored. So you have two anchor frames. Also, Word has this behavior that the actual wrapping of the content is only on the last page by default. There is some obscure compatibility flag to make it wrap on all pages. So this is the subset of the orally unlikely subset of the users who intentionally do this. So we default to do the same thing. We only wrap content on the last page. And also what's interesting is that given that this is a frame that you can position freely, you can do things like define a vertical offset, like push it down. But then if this splits over multiple pages, then on the non-first pages, it will still start from the top. Because, if you have enough content that it does not fit the page, it does not make sense to push it down so that it requires even more pages. We are not paid by using more pages, right? And so what the current state is that last year around mid-December, it reached the current set of features. This is shipping in last year's cool version, and also made its way into upstream LibreOffice. It's enabled for existing docx RTF files. There are lots of special cases, what to do with multi-column sections and how it interacts with orphan video control and various constraints about row heights and so on and so on and so on. Hopefully what we default to is what people expect, and then experts can go for the custom settings. And funnily enough, even Word itself had multiple iterations of this. So there are, again, compatibility flags in Word itself, how they do this splitting for older documents and newer ones. We try to find out like what to do and do the matching thing. So what's get presented is matching what the user is expecting. That's it. Thanks for listening.